Welcome to Keefer's Corner. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Keefer. We have an exciting game to talk about from last Friday. Victory in overtime over Rice Lake, so we're going to get right into it. Coach Keefer, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
And how are you doing Friday night?
I was doing probably a little better than great. That was just a great high school football game. Super exciting. We had so many kids contribute, and I was very proud of how we played.
So game starts off, we come down and score a handful of plays into the game.
Mm-hmm.
The offense looked to be running at a quicker pace than we had seen up to that point. We take that quick lead. How are we feeling on the sideline? The homecoming, so we got fans behind us. It was a really great way to start off.
It was a really good start. We did execute well, but I also think that it put Rice Lake a little bit on their heels because we were going really fast. Probably the fastest we had gone. We have some different tempos that we go, but we were trying to go as fast as possible. And I felt like that throughout the game we did it in different spurts, and I do think that definitely helped us. I know that we drew a couple penalties where they had too many kids on the field, and I know it drew a timeout. So that's a good thing. But I believe that we kind of play better when we're in that fast rhythm.
Yep. They come down, they score, they go for two, where they went for two on every possession. They've gone for two as far as they know on every possession all year.
Right.
They don't convert, and then we get 15 seconds later, we get to see the return of Gavin Sell on a long touchdown pass from Mason Werner to Gavin. How did having Gavin available impact the play calling offensively?
Well, we obviously were thrilled to have Gavin back. The first play, that was absolutely a bust on Rice Lake's coverage. They just, they squatted and the kid was looking in the backfield and Gav ran by him and it was a touchdown and that was awesome. But, as the game went on, it was pretty obvious that Gavin was a very difficult matchup for Rice Lake, like he's going to be for a lot of teams. And then, we certainly tried to call plays to get him the ball because he was having so much success.
And then, so after we don't convert the point after, so we're up 13-6. They come down and score, they get the two, and then they score again with about halfway through the second quarter, makes it 20-13 because they fail on their 2-point attempt again. We get the ball back late in the half. We're headed down the field, and I believe we had a timeout left. And it was second down.
Yep.
So what went into the thought process there? Obviously, we had a 35-yard field goal to go into halftime, which cut it to a 4-point game. But did you consider running another play?
Running one more play?
Yeah.
Even though we had, I believe, do we have one timeout left?
Yes.
Okay. We probably could have ran another play, but honestly, I was very confident that Davis was going to make the kick, and I just didn't want to be greedy. I didn't want to risk a turnover. We could have ran another play, but I just felt real good that, hey, we're going to take this, and that's going to be a positive way for us going to the half. And I just didn't want to have a turnover, fumble, interception type thing, or a sack that would have been, make it a lot different. So I just said, hey, let's just take it.
And you're inside the 20. At what point, and maybe you don't want to answer this, at what point do you feel like, because I talked about the yellow line that you see on the TV or the red line, whatever line they're like field goal.
Sure.
What in your head, if you want to share, when are you comfortably in field goal range?
I think it really, honestly, I think it depends on the night. I think it depends on the surface you're playing on. Maybe a little bit of the wind. Obviously, we've seen Davis kick the ball. I don't know what was his longest one.
Well, he had one last year that was over 40.
Right, he made a 44-yarder last year. I think the one at the end of regulation was maybe was that like 37?
It was inside 40. But he had plenty of length.
It was 30. I was going to say that thing would have been good from 50.
Right.
So I think it's certainly, he's capable of making a 50-yard kick.
So are we going to see that?
Well, I hope we're scoring touchdowns and not kicking field goals.
Right.
But, under the right circumstances, yeah. That's crazy to even think. Most years of attempting.
Right.
It doesn't even cross your mind. But, when you have Davis Paulson, it's awesome, and he's really good at it. Mason's done a nice job holding. That's been nice and consistent, and Evan Clausen's been terrific snapping. So we're not perfect. We missed an extra point, but you got to be thrilled with the kicking game.
Yeah, and I even think if you watch football on Saturdays and Sundays, the amount of times that is screwed up.
Oh yeah.
By professionals.
Yeah.
By guys on scholarship. I mean,
Right.
it's harder than it looks because it looks so simple. But yeah,
Yes.
having Davis is a weapon.
Oh, it is.
And then even playing at the end where it's like, we're in the range to kick a field goal to win this.
Right. Oh, we were comfortable.
And Rice Lake doesn't even have a kick.
They can't even kick the ball.
An extra point.
It's unbelievable.
And that's
I mean,
cost teams. We've seen teams in Madison lose
No
games
doubt.
because they don't have
No
that.
doubt about it. And that's the other thing that we have that's really good. And I don't know if you were going to get this, but Sean Van Someren is an outstanding punter.
Yeah.
And he had obviously a huge punt
That was
late in the game. That was a big deal.
Yeah, we'll get more to that.
Yeah.
I want to go through this here.
Sure.
They scored goal 10
Mm-hmm.
midway through the third. We come back, bring it within 3
Yep.
with 4 minutes left. So another very quick drive.
Yep.
Down 3, and then we turn it over to the fourth quarter. We scored to tie it on a Davis Paulson field goal with about 9 minutes left. Rice Lake has one of their drives. I believe there was some turnovers on downs or turnovers in there. Rice Lake is going into the end zone with 3:50 left.
Yep.
In a tie game, 1st and goal.
Right.
And what happened?
Well, the quarterback, who is a very good player for them, Max Nelson, you can just see on film, he's looking over at the sideline, Rice Lake's to his left, and he's getting the signal, and then he comes back, and he just mistakenly lines up underneath the left guard, and he doesn't realize it, starts his cadence, does the snap, and I'm not sure how the Rice Lake kid snaps the ball, and it does. Usually you snap and it hits your butt,
Right.
and it comes right down if that happens. But the snap, obviously, maybe he puts his hands a little farther back. I'm only speculating, but that darn ball goes shooting out, and fortunately for us, we recover it. And that was, obviously, that's pretty darn good luck right there.
Yeah, it's extremely good luck.
Extremely
Because,
good luck.
I mean, we talk about the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Quarterback mistakenly goes under the wrong guy. That happens.
Yes.
Okay? But he's not the only one involved here.
Right.
You have a guard that all of a sudden has a guy up underneath him.
Right?
That's not common.
No.
And you have a center that should feel a quarterback. I mean, you're taught from a very young age that
Right.
you have to have
You're
the center
supposed to
feel
feel
where
pressure.
you are.
Yep. Snap it to the pressure.
So there was a lot of things
There were a
that
lot
worked
of
out
things that happened
to our advantage
in
on
our
that play.
favor on that for sure. And then to recover the fumble.
Right.
That was a big deal too.
And then have a chance a couple minutes later to win that game.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, honestly, going through it, it did run through my mind, should we let them score? Because we'll just try to outscore them, we'll get one more. Because they were going to go for 2.
Correct.
And, they got it, so that's, in essence, they got to score 2 touchdowns. And, I did feel like if we had 3 minutes, I thought we had a chance to get down there. We did move the ball, obviously, after that turnover and got ourselves in position for the game winner. And that thing, I'm not being critical of the officials, but, watching it from the end zone, the camera showed about this much above, like on your screen above the top of the goalpost, and the kick was so high, you could see it going up, and then it left the field of vision, and then it came back down. So it is very, very difficult to really know. I mean, it was close, and just extrapolating, it looked like it went like literally right over the top. And I would bet that maybe half the officials would have called that baby good, and half maybe would. I think it was that close.
So how is that rule written out? If it goes over a goalpost, is it considered?
I think it's got to go inside the goalpost.
So if it goes over the goalpost, it's no good.
I believe so.
Because that would be, I mean, you turn on the TV and college and professional stadiums, their goalposts are probably
Super high.
2.5 times taller.
Right.
And so, I mean, these goalposts that we have now are 100 times nicer than the old ones.
Boy, aren't
they're
they?
actually
They're good.
But yeah, I mean that. From my vantage point, I thought it was good. Nick
I did
standing
too.
Nick standing next to me, and he thought for sure right away. I think he said, "Well, that's why." So I
Yeah.
mean, we got the same view.
At Davis, I said, Davis, what'd you think? He said, I think it went right over the goalpost. He said it was really close. That's what he said. And I agree.
That would have been a really fun way to end it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't end there.
Right.
Now we go into overtime. We lose the toss. We start with the ball,
Right.
and here you are walking across the field to have a conversation with the Rice Lake coach. At that time, and I told Nick with about 4 minutes left in regulation, I don't know what the overtime rules are. You don't see them a lot in high school. And then we commit a false start, and then there's a long conversation, which results in us restarting the drive of the 25, no penalty. So you were very persuasive.
That one did go in our favor. There's no doubt about that. But the game, the rules are it should have started in the 25. And
Right.
part of my lobbying was that our kids were confused because it started on the 10.
Right.
And I said that wouldn't have happened. You shouldn't penalize us for something that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
And evidently, in this case, I was convincing enough to get that, get him to agree with me on that. And I give Coach Hill credit because he's like, put it on the 25, let's go. So he was all right with it too.
Did you happen to talk to the captains about what was said in the meeting?
I talked to the captains prior to the meeting, and I told them that, hey, we're gonna, if we didn't discuss the 25,
Right.
we just said, hey, if we win the toss, we want to go second, so we can match them and know if we need to, go for 2 or
Right.
whatever.
But wouldn't they say that to the kids? I mean,
They came over. The official came over and he just went through the overtime rules, talked about timeouts, and it was just, I guess assumed on my part that it was going to be at the 25 because we had just played one a couple of years ago.
Now, ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered if it was the 25 or the 30.
It probably wouldn't have.
You're like 1st and 10. Let's go to the end zone.
Well,
I mean, that's what I'm thinking up top, right?
When you saw the ball thrown, you're like, wow, because the Rice Lake kid is literally 7-8 yards over the top of Gavin,
Right.
but it was just a great throw. And it came literally perfectly into his arms, and the Rice Lake kid just can't get close enough to it. Gavin runs by the kid, and it was just a great play by everybody. People always want to talk about the receiver and the quarterback because they made the throw, but I tell you what, you got to protect those guys, and if you don't have protection, those things don't happen. So it was a full team effort, and really pumped about the way the O-line played.
So we score that one. We're up 6. Any thought in your mind to not have Davis just kick the extra point and go for 2?
No, I really thought he's going to make the extra point, so it's a guaranteed 7.
Okay.
And I felt really good about our chances to stop him. We played significantly better defense in the second half, and there were some reasons to that, but felt a lot better than if we weren't stopping them like we had been in the second half. I'm not saying it was perfect because it wasn't, but I felt reasonably confident that we could hold them out from a 2-point conversion. If they were to score a touchdown, we could hold them at 6.
And they were 1 for 4 on the night.
Yep.
Right? So that.
Right.
And then we celebrated after the game, and it was a lot of fun. I mean that
was
that type of game. I mean the GT game on the road.
Yep.
You don't get to do that on your field
Right.
with your fans, homecoming.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just all that stuff worked out. Really,
Yeah,
really
that's
well.
one of the. It really is probably one of the most memorable games I can say that I've coached here, and I would feel really good about our kids. You're going to take that memory with you for a long time, and that's one of the things that's really sweet about high school football, games like that.
And that's one of the things that I said, and I think we actually had to cut audio because we got dinged with the copyright thing late. But when I coached basketball, that was games like that. I would try to remind kids in the game, like, enjoy this.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going to be nervous, you're going to feel all these
Right.
emotions, but you're not
Right.
going to experience things like this.
Yeah.
Maybe ever again.
Right.
And so that was really fun.
That was.
So Rice Lake now has a loss. They host Ellsworth this week.
They do.
That's a big game for conference title implications.
Gigantic game, no doubt. I do think. I'm not at all suggesting that the Rice Lake coaching staff took us lightly, but I think maybe the Rice Lake players did a little bit.
Right.
Definitely had that sense that they, kind of thought we were going to be just another thing for them to plow off the road.
Right.
And it was nice for us it probably worked out best in our favor to get the ball first and go down. I thought that was probably the key thing.
So after the game, we go through the line, and I heard that the Rice Lake kids were very, very good sports, very complimentary of our team.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you had heard at all from players or anything?
Yeah, I thought the Rice Lake kids were great. I really did, but I do think they maybe took us a little bit lightly. Just talking to their staff after the game, they felt like Rice Lake was talking a lot in their locker room about what they're doing for their homecoming next week, and you never want to have that in the locker room. As a coach, you know if they're dialed in, and I think they felt like they maybe weren't.
So one of the things now that a coaching staff would have to worry about coming off of a big win like that is how do you come back in this week? So
right.
we go to Osceola, who has not been great this year.
Nope.
But a team that the last time we went to Osceola, I think we felt like we're going to beat this team pretty handily, and we did not. So
and not to mention last year they hammered us.
Right.
It was 39-14.
So how do we handle that, as a coaching staff, internally, and then also with our players, knowing that this, after a big win, you're always kind of primed for a big letdown.
Right. One of the things that we are trying to do is Monday morning we lift and we meet with the players, and I had 8 plays from last year's game, and the title of the thing is Osceola, Stay Humble, and it's just Osceola completely crushing us not doing what we're supposed to do, and them having a number of big plays, and so I don't think there's any doubt in my mind, and I think our kids know this too. Osceola, I will guarantee you, will play as hard as anybody. It doesn't matter. I mean, it is. They have some talent, but what defines this group for Osceola, they're going to play really hard. They've played hard in every game. They've had some games where they've got beat, but you watch their kids playing hard, and I believe our kids understand that. The axiom that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and we're striving to have like the most intense week of practice we've had this year. So we're trying to knock this thing up another notch, and I actually do really feel good. I think we've had we're really making a lot of growth, especially on the defensive side of the ball, which is very exciting. We're not looking for any letdown. In fact, I think you can also use like a game like this, and hopefully it kind of recalibrates what kids' expectations are. I think a big part of what coaching is you're trying to convince kids that they can maybe do more than they ever thought they could do. And I think this, for a lot of kids, maybe opened their eyes, because that's a really good football team. Mm-hmm. That's not a joke. And I gotta. It'll be very interesting to see how the Rice Lake Ellsworth thing goes.
For sure. Last thing about the game on Friday. Players of the game afterwards. You had, I believe, Davis on special teams.
I think it was Sean Van. We went with Sean Van as the.
Okay.
He had that punt at the at the end. After Rice Lake turned it over, we actually wound up punting there.
Okay.
Because we must have went just a 3-and-out maybe, and Sean had a huge punt. It was a 64-yard punt.
Inside.
Held them down.
Yeah.
And then we had an ensuing possession where we forced them to punt, and they had kind of a poor punt.
Yeah.
And that's what got us down in there to attempt the field goal. So that was a really, really big play, and he had another punt in the game that was a good punt. And, and I think although obviously Davis played well with Sean on that one.
And then offensively was Mason Werner.
Actually, offensively,
it was
Gavin Sell.
Okay. So Gavin went. Yep. I have it on here. 7 for 140. And Mason, I had 289 originally, but 285, which is a school record for a single game.
Okay.
And the 2 records that are broke was a tie actually between Dylan DeMotts and TJ Helgeson. Both came in losses.
Oh.
So 285 and a win.
Yeah.
2 receivers over 100 yards.
That's cool.
That's
pretty rare.
Cool. And really, I think the offensive line did a great job for Mason too. I mean, it was.
They did.
You nominate all these guys. You want to have one guy win it, but there could have been a whole bunch of guys.
There's absolutely, that's true. And we did have a ton of guys nominated, and the voting was really close. It wasn't like there was runaway winners on any of those.
Right. Defensively.
The defensive player in the game, I believe, was Eli Coonan.
I think it was Noah.
No, you're right. It was Noah. You're 100% right.
So
you're right on the one. Yeah, it was Noah. Coonan did play great, and so did Noah. I would honestly say that Noah was going against a really good player. His name is eluding me right now, number 58 for Rice Lake. He's a really good player, and I've never thought higher of Noah after that game. I mean, he really competed well and made a ton of plays for us. So he's rising to the occasion, and so extremely proud of him. And he's a great work ethic kid. He's a very humble kid. He's a very good leader for us. Plays a ton of snaps, and he's an outstanding kid.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to like some of the dominant D linemen that we have, and they're never going to show up in box scores, especially the interior linemen. But it'd be hard to not include him in conversations with guys like Travis Shackleton.
Absolutely, he's like Shackleton. He's like Spencer Corey.
Right.
Some of the guys that have really just been excellent players. And I would absolutely put Noah right in that group. He, he's got all the things that you look for, and he's probably a little bit bigger, than those other guys. Those guys, I love Travis and Spence. Those guys played super hard, and Shaq was very, very strong kid. And Noah's just got a little bit more size, and brings a lot of good intangibles. And another kid that I would really mention, I thought stepped up. I thought Dylan Vienendahl played a really nice game. Coonan played very well. We see Davis Paulson on defense. He's starting to get it, And that was the thing that we were like, hey, we got to be patient with this guy. But when the bullets are flying and you need to step up and hit something, right, Davis Paulson's going to step in there and hit it.
And for a kid that didn't play football, he kicked last year.
Right.
But our defense isn't this just walk in and understand the defense.
It takes time.
And so for him to come in and understand a position that I think is not super easy in the first place.
His growth has been really, really significant, and he just he did make some huge plays. Obviously, he made a huge play. Interception at the end.
And then goes the next day and has 2 hat tricks.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So that's impressive too.
Yeah.
Monday we played Rice Lake at Rice Lake. How'd those games go?
The freshmen had a lead. They were winning 8-6, and they gave up a score with 40 seconds left, and they lost 12-8. JV, we were not competitive. They hammered us 50-0. We were a bit short, but I think Rice Lake had I believe we had 13 kids designated that were just JV. We've had some illness stuff ripping through, and we were light a little bit. Not suggesting that that's going to change the outcome, but they were definitely they were a little salty that they lost, and I think they were going to try to prove something.
Take it on them.
But hey, whatever. We love our JV guys, but it's tough. Right. It's a tough thing. We were playing a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and they were playing a lot of juniors. And, right. You're going to have that sometimes.
And I think you could tell that during the national anthem on Friday night when our guys are spread out and we go pylon to pylon, and they're shoulder to shoulder and go pylon to pylon.
Right.
It's different.
Yeah.
Then the weekend turns around and we get Badgers on a.
Yeah.
And that wasn't competitive at all.
No, not competitive game, but they did what they're supposed to do.
And then, like you promised last week, you get the sweep on Sunday.
Yep, I was confident that the Pack would bounce back.
So that's 3 wins. That's a great weekend.
That's a lot better weekend than the weekend before.
All right. Anything else that you would like to say? Shout outs to anybody?
No, I really do. I appreciate our fans because we had a great crowd, and that was great. And I got to say hi to my little grandson, Will, who likes to watch this thing. How you doing, Will? Good to see you, buddy.
Perfect. He'll like that.
He will like that.
All right, thanks for joining us. This was Keefer's Corner. We will be back next week with an all-new episode. We'll see you in Osceola, though, on Friday night.